Hello, welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thank you very much for joining me in my exploration of the amazing, shrinking wide world of pens. And you see one rotating in front of you being held up by a very happy crab. And it is a very, very nice new pen. A new pen that's from an American pen maker that we've had the pleasure of enjoying some of his other creations. And it's John Hubbard from Artcraft Pens. I enjoy my relationship with John, fellow engineer, and now he's gone into creating some very interesting pens. And he offered to send me one so I could show it to you. And this is definitely a nice design. I love the color. It comes with and without a clip, so we're going to explore this pen in a little bit more detail, and hopefully you can enjoy it as much as I do. The crab's giving you a wink as he twirls around. So I have the pen in this nice, simple looking gold gifty type box. The cover just comes off, and we'll see the pen in a nice black velvet base. And one of the things that you'll notice about the pen is it feels good in the hand. This coating that he uses, and we'll go into some more details about the construction methods and how the pen was made and the design elements and some of the other little details that you might find interesting. One of the things that makes this pen good is it's a pop-off cap. Very nice. Feels nice and secure. Does it post? No, I kind of figured that based on the design. It's a nice small section, number 5 nib, but this is a small size pen, so that's what you would expect. And that little band there identifies it as Artcraft. It's always good to have the pen identified. And as one would expect, it's a cartridge converter. He uses Schmidt nibs, which I've been very happy with, and a nice Schmidt converter. So that's the pen, that's the design. So we're going to dive in a little bit about the details about how this pen came to be and how John makes it. The other nice little touch is you have Artcraft here at the top of the cap finial. It's good to identify the pen both on the barrel and the cap. So let's think a little bit about what it takes to produce a new pen. Well, John starts with some basic parts. We have a Schmidt nib, section, converter, and a cap liner to facilitate push-pull capping. Feels nice and secure. So you start with those basic parts. And the other thing that is advantage with the Schmidt supplied parts is that you can also convert to a roller ball very easily. So that is a good option. So then you design a pen around it, and John was in favor of this type of design. Here's an earlier pen that he came up with that design. Didn't make production. Who knows if it ever will or not. You never know. But once you have those basic parts, then you assemble the pen. And this is done very, very well. I enjoy the aesthetics. I enjoy the look. I enjoy the feel. The texture of that coating is excellent. Very nice usable clip. Very springy. Should be able to work over almost any type of place you want to put it. Pen case, jeans pocket, shirt pocket. It'll work. So I've been using this pen for a while, and that section is small. It's a small pen, but a pen has a place in everybody's collection, and I certainly do enjoy this one. And what's nice about the push-on cap is you can line it up. So for those OCD folks, you can keep that spiral consistent from cap to barrel. So here we have the spiral with the two other Artcraft pens that I'm very happy to own. The first one I got was Moonwalk, which is still the name of his website. I just love the design. I love the creativity. 3D printed, which is a good way to create this type of look. And of course that Cerakote coating that John has learned to use quite well. This also pops off. Not feel as secure as the one on the Spiral. Nice black nib. Here is using Franklin Christoph nibs, which are Jowo nibs. And again, this pen was really nice. I enjoy it. It is always inked up and in rotation. And here's that Celtic Dragon one. There'll be links to these in the video description if you'd like to see more details. Again, he just does a nice job with the art involved in the pen making. This cap unscrews with just a little bit of a turn. And now we see a branded Artcraft nib. Nice beefy section, which I enjoy. Again, just a nice pen. So check out his website, see what else he may have. I'm certain you'll find something of interest. I put it together with these other pens, which you might be familiar with, and that probably will give you a better idea of the size of the Spiral. I have trouble converting some measurements into physical feel and dimensions. So here we have a Metropolitan, the 78G, and of course a Lamy Vista. So the Spiral is about the same length as the 78G and the Metropolitan. Let's pop the cap and look at the nib end. So in cap, the pens take on a different perspective and view. Let's start at the nib end. The Spiral nib is the number 5, and it fits in with all the other nibs in these pens. Section is similar size, different shapes a little bit. I never got used to this huge step up on the Metropolitan, so never became a daily writer for me. The 78G and the Metropolitan post very nicely, very well. As we said, the Spiral doesn't post, and of course the Lamy Vista makes for a very long pen. Posted. Let's zoom in on the business end. As I mentioned, the nib size is all similar. The medium Schmidt works and writes very, very well. Very smooth, very consistent flow. The 78G is similar. This is that very broad nib, which is actually more of a stub. You know, your Lamy nib is your Lamy nib. And of course, the Pilot nib here. As I mentioned to you before, these three sections are similar in shape. I like the length of the section. You know, these have little flare-outs at the end. And of course, you got your triangular Lamy section, which is, we all know, is not one of my favorites, but a lot of people like it. Hopefully, this comparison allows you to, in perspective. So this is the ink I decided to put into the Spiral pen. I think it's kind of a reddish purple. I don't really have a dark cherry color that I think would go with the pen any better, but I think this would be a nice color combination. And I don't have this in another pen. So when I received the pen, I did my usual flushing of the nib and feed, and the water had a slight blue tint to it. So I queried John, and he does test the nibs with a blue ink before he sends them out. He does flush that nib to clean out the ink, but as we all know, there's always going to be a slight residual there, but it's certainly not going to interfere with anyone else. And for those that just get the new pen and immediately fill it with ink, you know it's been tested and writes well. And this does write well. I enjoy this nib. It's nice and smooth, but gives you some decent feedback, which to me is important in writing. It's medium wet, which is fine. In ink, which is a little bit on the wet side, this is really a good combo. And I enjoy the color. And the nib's not soft or flexy or anything, but it just feels good on paper, which is an important aspect to a fountain pen. So now we've come to that all-important conclusion to this review. So overall, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm very, very happy with my relationship with John Hubbard and Artcraft, and I enjoy being able to show you their pens. They're unique, and this one is no exception to that. They're, handmade, hand-designed, American-made pens. And in today's world, where things change relatively quickly, it's nice to know that we have a source for pens that we can really enjoy, and we don't have to worry about the pricing might change drastically overnight. So I do enjoy this pen, and there's probably a lot of you out there that could really enjoy this pen. Again, it's on the small side, but it has its own appeal for that reason. And I love this shape, the design. The colors are great. Here's another look at them. So if you have any questions or if you're interested in the pen, please reach out to John. You can order it on the website. Links in the video description. It's worth investigating. Hopefully you can enjoy that. So we've reached a conclusion of this video, and I hope it found everyone safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens, enjoying exploring pens, adapting to the changing world that we're in. So with that, thank you all for watching. We've reached the end, and we will say bye-bye-bye-bye.